Thank you, Dave, as always.
Hi, I'm Dr. Dave Janda. Welcome back to a very special presentation through our Operation Freedom platform that focuses on your freedom, your health, your future. I can't think of a better person to have with us than someone who has been very outspoken in taking on the globalist, whatever you want to call it, globalist syndicate, globalist cult, New World Order crowd, criminal international banking syndicate, deep state, shadow government. It's all the same. Dan Brigman has been taking on that syndicate, that cult, for decades, using a number of different platforms. Dan was the host of the Power Hour on the radio show for years. It took on the syndicate directly. Dan has written a book. He's a phenomenal author. Forever 1776, forever1776.com, that goes back to our, if you will, origins, foundations of when our constitutional republic came into being. To bring people's knowledge base to a point where he gave people information that we're not and are not getting through our educational system about the founding of our constitutional republic. And then Dan and his family put it all on the line and founded an entity, a company, Numanna, Numanna, Numanna.com, storable food and water purification company, that when they founded it, he and his family were given immense grief. What are you doing? We're not going to have a food problem, a water problem in this country or North America or anywhere around us. But you see, this is the problem about being a visionary. And especially one like Dan Brigman has been. You look so far into the future and identify issues and problems that people can't consider you, I don't know, a common term, conspiracy theorist, or you're being hyperbolic about how you think things are going and the like. But no. In fact, Dan and his family were accurate. And they have produced the best storable food and the best purification systems for water that every person, every family in our country, frankly around the world, can benefit from. But many people don't. Why? Because they're so concerned that their other family members will think, "Oh, you're being a prepper. You're being too negative. You're being a bit paranoid, thinking that things can happen." Well, things do happen, and things are about to happen even more so. It's my honor to welcome back Dan Brigman. Dan, welcome back to the Operation Freedom platform.
So good to be with you, as always, Dave. It's an honor, really. I have such high regard for you, your program, information. Information is key, truth is key, and it's getting harder and harder to find. So thank you for having me on.
Well, thank you for all you do and how you do it, and have done it for many years, as I mentioned, Dan. Dan, Elon Musk recently said the following: "I've never been materially active in politics before, but this time," key words here, "I think civilization as we know it is on the line. If we want to preserve freedom and a meritocracy in America, then with this election, Trump must win." Now, Dan, your take on this, because you've identified problems in our country and around the world with the ever-increasing presence of the globalist cult and their not just freedom-stripping but life-stripping agenda. Dan, address what Elon Musk is saying, because he got a lot of heat for making that statement.
The word freedom, it's been associated with America for centuries now. It has been, at one point, immigrants in Europe, especially after World War II, they thought that, gosh, America is this place, it must be paved with gold. I mean, it must be this almost dreamlike state. What the founding fathers did, and I'm answering your question, I really am. I'm just going to get there a little roundabout. What the founding fathers did was establishing a land where the inherent value that is in each one of us, that's been placed there by our Creator, took a position superior to institutions, superior to government, superior to all these things and these clinging organizations that we have, that the individual reigns supreme, and that their rights and that their ability to make their life as they want it would be able to happen here in the United States of America. Since that time, of course, that's been under attack. There's been a very aggressive opposition, starting slowly, and now we're to the point where what the New World Order is, the United Nations, is completely 180 degrees different. What Elon Musk is saying, it's the obvious when you study this. There's either going to be a meritocracy where you rise on your own accord, you rise on your own effort, your own intelligence, your own creativity. The opportunity that God has given you, your Creator has given you, that can flourish, and you can succeed on your own merit that you produce. Or some other system, where a controlled system where that freedom is contained. You can call it socialism, you can call it communism, you can call it technocracy, you can call it whatever you want. This is where we're at. Mm-hmm. The individual or some technocratic hellhole. I mean, that's really what he's saying. So I agree with Elon Musk.
He went on to say the following about the election. Kamala Harris is, quote, quite literally a communist. She wants not merely equal opportunity, but equal outcomes, end quote. And when you deal in a communist state, frankly, Dan, as you and I both know, and as our listeners know, the equal outcomes is you have a very small have class and a 99.9% have-not class.
The basic premise of communism and the constitutional republic, there are polar opposites. We believe in this country, at least by law, we have for centuries now, we've valued that our Creator endowed us with unalienable rights, cannot be liened, mortgaged, bought, sold. That through those, that we are free to choose our destiny. The other way is saying, no, that's not right. You cannot be trusted to make these decisions. What they're upending on the very heart of it is they're upending the inspiration and the power that God has put in each one of us. Our Creator is put in each one of us. And you may think, well, he's talking very religiously. Well, have you read our founding documents? Have you read? If you don't believe that, then you really don't believe in the foundation of this country. This is the premise of the United States of America. All the blessings, all the things that the immigrants, all the delusion that they had that our streets were paved with gold. No, they were paved with opportunity. They were dripping with liberty. They were dripping with freedom. So the opposite, the United Nations, the communist talk, Kamala Harris, her idea that she says, Obama famously said, you didn't build that business, right. The government did, what have you. It's the same idea. You cannot be trusted. You have not been endowed by your Creator. The government, this collective, we are going to create a collective outcome that we know better than you. That all you are is a talking cow, and we are going to herd you like an animal. This is the premise, and this is the difference. So 100%. I mean, her father, if people don't know this, Kamala Harris, his father was an advisor. I think it was Jamaica in the 70s when there was inflation and problems. And he was the one who recommended price controls. You heard Kamala Harris talk about price controls. Price controls have never worked. Price controls lead to two things: shortages and starvation. And that's what happened in Jamaica, and that's what happened everywhere it has been done, because the incentive for creativity is gone. And people, whatever money they have, as soon as there's a price control, they'll buy it up, and then there's no producer on the back end. Government doesn't produce anything. For everybody who doesn't understand this, government is a parasite.
They take.
It's a parasite.
They take.
They produce nothing. Nothing. We, the people, are the engine. They take from us. So when you take away that incentive and on our backs, and you put us down, and you say that we're just talking cows, we know better than you, we're going to herd you, which is the ideological premise of communism. no matter what you say, that's what it is you can't be trusted, and we need to collectively make these decisions for you.
And the Kamala Harris apple doesn't fall far, as you mentioned, from her daddy's tree. Right? No. Her daddy is a self-avowed communist.
Yeah, what's the problem?
Taught at Stanford. By the way, it's my understanding that his father was one of the largest slave owners.
Well, that's what they say. How ironic is that?
And interesting, with her background in communist doctrine, of which she has pushed. When we look back at communist regimes, let's put it, let's Stalin or Mao or whoever it might be, one of the recurrent threads is a wipeout of the middle and lower class by using food and taking people's food away, depriving them of food as a means of control. Well, it should not surprise anybody that under the Biden-Harris administration, it was at late night this past week, Dan, that this was released from the Department of Agriculture. Reported only by Zero Hedge. U.S. food insecurity, in other words, people's ability to have food available to eat. U.S. food insecurity has surged under the Biden-Harris administration. According to the USDA report, last year, almost 18%, not 1.8, 18% of households where children lived were food insecure. This is up 50% from 12% in 2021. Looking at all households, 13.5% of American households, not Biafra, not Ethiopia, not Bangladesh, the United States, the good old US of A. All households, 13.5% of all households were classified as food insecure, defined as experiencing difficulty to meet basic food needs, including the inability to buy enough food. There's your stagflation, right? Depleting jobs and ever-increasing prices. Buying balanced meals or eating irregular portion sizes, which has led to skipping meals and experiencing hunger. Now, Dan, some people will say, wow, what a series of accidents for this to have occurred in our own country, or what a terrible set of coincidences, or this is because of incompetence. Dan, tell me if I'm off. This is willful. This is part of that playbook.
I've been on your show for years, your radio show. We've done some videos like this. I've tried to warn people for years what you're saying, and it's so hard. It's so hard to get people who, and I don't mean this derogatory, but you're watching TV, you see an Overton window that you're being shown a facade of what they want you to what they want to show you. Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting on the fringe or sitting just outside there. I'm on the wholesale level, just not even from my experience from radio and all the people I know and contacts, just from my experience on the wholesale level. And I'm seeing, and I'm telling you, I'm seeing something different. What they're telling you on TV and what I'm seeing, it's two different things, ladies and gentlemen. Mm-hmm. That's why I predicted about the beef price. I told y'all the beef prices were going to explode. I told you an egg was going to be $1. I told you that. What do you think? I just pulled this out of a magic hat or some magic 8-ball? No, it's because I could see the window that they're not showing you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the food production in this country has been drastically cut. Not only the production plants, but the farmers themselves. I'm in contact with farmers. My wife is from farming areas of this country. I'm sure we're gonna get into that. Some important things. I talk to some of these farmers. We have family friends. They're telling me what they're seeing from their side. It is not the same thing they're telling you on TV. We have been systematically the moral fortitude has eroded in our country, and now the systems in our country are eroding. The food in our country is eroding. I mean, it's a biblical level step down of our prosperity, our blessings, and it's a curse that has come over our country, and it manifests in many different ways. I'm here trying to warn you. Your normalcy bias, what you think, is not what's going on.
Well, and let's talk about, when we talk about food insecurity, one of the problems is not having enough food available for people. Now, we're experiencing that right now in this country. And you mentioned, Tristan, being from Idaho.
Yes.
There's been very little coverage, Dan, of what's occurring on the ground in Idaho as it relates to the food supply. Educate our listeners, because you have incredible contacts there on the ground, as you mentioned, and give us some insight into this, because people are unaware of what is going on.
If this isn't the biggest story in this country, it's darn near close, and for many different reasons. Okay, my wife, like you said, is from Idaho. We have some family friends we're very close to. They are farmers. They're right in the middle of now a water war that mirrors what happened in the mid to late 1800s in the West. If you're in Michigan, people on the East Coast, it's hard to understand. You could throw some seed in the ground and probably it's going to grow. Well, if you're out in the West in Idaho, for the vast majority of the land, it's barren. It's high desert. If there's not water, there's not there. The land has very little value other than it's pretty, in a barren desert kind of way. It snows a lot, obviously in the winter, and that's where they get a lot of water. If you don't have water to this land, you don't have farming. Well, in the 40s, 50s, Idaho made the decision that they're going to make the desert green. That they want farming to explode. Smart decision, fantastic decision. And Ezra Taft Benson, who was one of the he's the one who made Idaho potatoes famous. He was central in that about that time. He was Secretary of Agriculture under Eisenhower. They got water. They get water from wells, from aquifers, from canals, what have you. There's a whole system in Idaho to get this water. Well, in the eastern part of Idaho, going towards Yellowstone, southeast, if you can, imagine Idaho shaped, it has that handle up north and then comes down. So the east side of Idaho is one area. It's the biggest potato producing part of America by far. I mean, by far, because of the volcanic soil. The soil is unbelievable. If they get water to it, it grows the best potatoes in the world. That's why Idaho potatoes are world famous. Not only that, alfalfa, hay, barley for beer. If you like to drink beer, your beer is barley's coming probably from southeast Idaho or somewhere around there. There's a good chance anyway. One of the highest in the country. To the west, there's a place called Magic Valley. It's more dairy. It's more dairy cows, that kind of thing. And they share certain aquifers and they share certain water. Well, this is where the New World Order and real life meets head on. I hope I've given you the background.
Right, it's great.
It's okay. Oh, you're following along. It's complicated, but I'm trying to simplify it.
You got the foundation laid. It's excellent. Yeah.
Magic Valley, which is central Idaho and southeast Idaho, are sharing different water aquifers, water systems that we're talking about. Some of the rights are older than others. Magic Valley is one of the water right holders is Idaho Power. You think, well, why does Idaho Power got water rights? They're not farming. Well, they make power. It goes over the dams. It
hydroelectric
power. I'll give you three guesses, and the first two don't count. Who is one the biggest owners of Idaho Power? I mean, you can just, ladies and gentlemen, just take a guess on your transnational corporation, and you're probably going to hit it. It's BlackRock. BlackRock and Vanguard are two of the top three biggest owners in Idaho of Idaho Power of Idaho Power. They hold more assets than most countries. BlackRock does. They have more assets under control. Their influence knows almost no bounds. You know, the head of BlackRock also sits on the board of the WEF, World Economic Forum. The World Economic Forum says you're going to own nothing and like it. There's too much.
Is that Larry Fink?
Larry Fink, yes, you got it.
Fink, yeah.
Also heavily involved with Davos. Davos is where John Kerry, you had the famous quote, I don't have it now, but John Kerry about farming, that basically to keep from starving, we got to cut farming. Or what, maybe you could find that or whatever. But basically, their attitude is to control resources.
Wait, I got it.
All right, let's hear it.
Quote, we've got to cut down on farming due to climate change, or people are going to starve, end quote. John Kerry. I didn't make that up. No, it's actually true.
So this is the attitude. So now you have a very good background and understand the players. Recently, over the last couple of years, the IDWR, Idaho Department of Water Resources, they have a new head that was appointed by the government, Governor Brad Little. He's an unelected bureaucrat. He sits in this position and has been given power to make the decision of how the water resources could be used, to do research on the aquifers, and to say how this water needs to be divided. They've been given almost godlike power over to control this water. Again, this, just follow along. It gets complicated, but it's simple. It's both.
Yeah.
They try to make it complicated, but it's simple. The head of the IDWR, they've been doing research, or the IDWR has been doing research in this science. And this is similar to climate change, global warming science. They say, if we don't get rid of these cows, basically the world's going to fall. Well, that's climate change. Well, this is what they're saying. Well, the aquifer only contains 20 million acre feet of water, and we don't know where it goes, and blah blah blah. And this is dire situation, and we got to do something to control this water. And Southeast Idaho is taking too much, and we have to take it from them and give it to Magic Valley. Okay. It's the same, and they keep saying it's just science. Well, so is climate change. It's the same thing. There's other scientific metrics that say there's 300 million acre feet of water in one of these huge. We're talking about Lake Erie. Right. We're talking about basically Lake Erie is under Idaho and under these farmers. There's very credible people that are saying that. IDWR is saying, no, there's only 20 million. IDWR got a lawyer in this situation. Their lawyer, now follow along, and I'm getting all this straight from the horse's mouth. I have a very good friend who's a farmer. He is right in the middle of this. You can back up and look at everything I'm telling you. IDWR lawyers are the same lawyers as Idaho Power.
Shocking.
Idaho Power is heavily invested by BlackRock. BlackRock is WEF based, Davos based, all this heavily into that, the same people, same. So now IDWR has said this year, they said we're going to curtail your water, and they've been curtailing it. In Southeast Idaho, where my friend is, they are farming on 1.4 acre feet per acre. Magic Valley is farming on 5 point something acre feet per acre. It's totally imbalanced. It's ridiculous. And all IDWR keeps saying, you have to give more, you have to give more, you have to give more. One of the state politicians quoted him. He told him to her face, I am going to dry up Southeast Idaho. They went to curtail more to the point where they put meters on their pumps in Idaho and greatly reduced, said they're going to shut them off, said you have to close. If you don't, we're going to fine you up to $2 million. Just typical.
Now,
ridiculous.
Dan, what justification do they give to the farmers in southeast Idaho and to the population of Idaho and to the population of the United States saying, we're going to starve southeast Idaho of water? Okay, well, why? Why are you doing that? Why? What do they say when they're pushed?
Two points. Great question. 2 points to this. One, there was an agreement in 2015 because they've been arguing about this for years. And so 2015, under the direction of a federal judge, there was an agreement put in place between them. It wasn't a very good agreement at the time, but it was an agreement, not for Southeast Idaho, but they agreed to it. My farmer friend said they agreed to it what other choice they had? A literal gun was put to their head. They agreed to it. In the fine print of this agreement was basically the IDWR could do whatever they wanted. So IDWR, that's the first thing. Secondly, IDWR is now saying, well, there's not enough water. Well, if you've ever been to Idaho the last 2 years, especially 2 years ago,
right,
the water level, the snowpack was unbelievable. I mean, there is water everywhere. To say that there wasn't if there's not any water now, then I don't know when there's going to be water in Idaho, because the last 2 years the water pack has been unbelievable.
Well, you mentioned it, Southeast Idaho is near Yellowstone.
Yeah.
Isn't it difficult to get to Yellowstone from Southeast Idaho because a lot of the roadways were washed out because of flooding? Flooding?
Yeah. Yes.
Flooding?
100%. You're starting to see the problem here. So for somebody with a straight face, and this is what my farmer friend said, for somebody with a straight face to say that there was a water shortage, you got to check their intelligence level. Mm-hmm. It's asinine to say. It is asinine to say there has been a water shortage the past 2 years. Okay, so what the other premise they're saying, and it comes down again to this science. Well, our scientific method is showing that there's a shortage. If we don't do something, this aquifer is going to dry up. You got to be kidding me. Are you serious? If it's drying up, there's a James Bond movie probably about 10, 15 years ago. I don't even remember the name, with Daniel Craig. And the main plot line of the movie was about water wars, and they were stealing the water. They're punching holes in the aquifer and diverting the water to other places to control the people. Mm-hmm. If there's no water, it is. I would bet
because of that.
It's because James Bond is being played out right here in Idaho. There is no way that there is a water shortage. No way. So, fast forward. This is key to help you to understand all this and to give validity to what the suspiciousness of why I'm saying this. Frank Vandersloot is a very prominent businessman in Southeast Idaho, farmer, rancher in some ways. He has the media influence. He can get attention. He got a big meeting at his place in Idaho Falls and had all farmers and all the people, invited all the media, because IDWR was curtailing and said that Southeast Idaho needed to stop pumping. 2 hours before he had the meeting, IDWR calls him and says, well, we're not going to curtail anymore this year. Our calculations were wrong. We didn't need 72,000 acres to be shut down. It was just 6,000. We were wrong.
Oh, we were off by a factor of 8.
8 or 9. Yeah. No,
more than that.
8. No, 12.
12.
Sorry, 12. Right. We were off by a factor of 12. And now, mind you, in the middle of this, in the winter runoff, they let hundreds of thousands of acre-feet of water go over the dam. Idaho Power gets paid every drop of water that goes over the dam. They get money from the power. Mm-hmm. So the more water that just flows on down from Southeast Idaho to the Magic Valley, they're getting money.
Well, and it probably doesn't end in the Magic Valley. My guess is wherever that water is going, even beyond that, distribution-wise, they also have investments in those areas as well.
It goes to the ocean eventually, is where it goes.
And they suck up as much of it as they can for their investments all the way to the ocean.
Right. So in Southeast Idaho, if you've ever been there, the main economy is agricultural.
Yep.
It's not even close.
Right.
You're talking about even if everything IDWR said is true, even if everything it says is true, your solution is we're going to shut down the economy of Southeast Idaho. That's your solution. When and Frank Vandersloot has very eloquently described, there's many different solutions we can get here. There's many different things. They created a task force to go over some of these mitigation procedures. I'm sure you can already guess where this went. IDWR, backed by the same lawyers of Idaho Power, BlackRock owned, rejected all mitigation offers. Things like, hey, let's line the canal so there's no evaporation. Let's whatever. There's many things they could have done and offered to do. No, we rejected it all. Now they just came out, IDWR, and said next year of the 500 and something thousand acres of farming in Southeast Idaho, we're going to shut down 100,000 or a little over 100,000. They just said that. If we don't find a
even
solution
after their last calculations for this year were off by a factor of 12, we're going to actually up it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, so this Frank Vandersloot is stepping up, right?
Yes.
He's stepping up. What are the people of Idaho doing? What is the governor of Idaho doing? I mean, do we have a bunch of people that are sitting on their couch and going, "Oh, this is bad, but well, there's nothing I can do about it." I mean, let's take us back to 2019 and the dweebs out of DC with this and with this. What are the people doing, and why are they not holding the governor's feet to the fire and saying, "Listen, buddy boy, you put a leash on this crew, or else you're out"? What's going on?
Okay, very good question. The governor, of course, is playing politics. He appointed the head of IDWR,
right?
Just so you know,
right? You pointed.
So he has said. So he came out with an official statement, and you can look it up online. The gist of it is, this is not a political issue. This is a legal fight between farmers, and I'm going to back off and let them work it out. Let me translate for you. I'm going to sit back and let BlackRock lawyers have at these damn hillbillies and see how much we can get out of them. That's how I interpret it.
I interpret it as I am a bought and paid for whore of BlackRock, and I've been told to stand down, and I don't really care about the people of Idaho. That's my take.
Well, I got friends there. I don't want to say too much, but go ahead. Thank you. Thank you.
And is there any? I mean, the people. Wait, aren't the people storming their local officials and saying, "What are you doing? You're killing all of us. You're killing the country. You're killing agriculture." Are they not doing this with the governor?
Just like you said at the beginning of when I started talking about this, you've heard little information about this, right?
Right.
Well, so the people of Idaho. In fact, if you lived outside Idaho,
you don't know.
There's a possibility you haven't even heard of this. In Idaho, what you're hearing is what the news wants to tell you. And what they want to tell you is, well, this is the governor's position. This is a fight between farmers. This is a legal fight between farmers. I'll let the farmers work it out. Well, that's nothing could be further from the truth. That's not what's going on at all. The people are hearing, and they say, "Oh, those greedy southeastern Idaho farmers," and they talk back to something that happened 30 years ago with some rogue farmer drilling a bunch of wells and all this and blah 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 blah. They're just coming up with these talking points. It's a legal fight. The governor's going to stay out of it. The farmers need to work it out. Blah blah blah. In reality, this appears to be a New World Order takeover and how resources are transferred and how independence is taken from a region. That's what it appears to be. And I'd bet money that's what it is. The farmers themselves, and I've talked to the farm, and I've given them many ideas. I mean, you should interview my farmer friend. I can probably get a couple.
Happy to. Happy to.
Maybe if you told him, I'm his friend, maybe he doesn't believe me. I've told him, I said, look, you're in a PR. You're not in an agricultural battle. You're in a PR battle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they can easily win this. Because on their side is the stomach of every person, not just in Idaho, but around the country.
That's what I keep trying to tell them. Why don't you farmers get together, each put $1,000 together? Each of you put in $1,000 and start a PR campaign. Go door to door with a flyer. I mean, go around the media. Do anything. They are planning some sort of, kind of like they did in Netherlands with the tractors to go to the state house. They have talked about that, but they're so loosely. You got to understand a farmer. This is why they're in the situation they're in. Farmers are so stubborn and so independent,
right?
And
they can do it all themselves.
And because they have.
Yeah.
Because they've been forced to.
Well, if I was one of them, there must be a type of truck that transports the potatoes or whatever their crop is to market, to the distributor, right? What I would do is I would take a fleet, multiple fleets of those trucks, keep them empty, put a big sign on it. This truck is empty because of the governor and his water restrictions. They want you hungry and starved. I would have that banner on every truck, have the truck empty, and park it around the state capitol. Park it in the big towns, Boise, Idaho Falls, you name it. A beehive of the people who probably love this kind of stuff. Coeur d'Alene, right? Park them everywhere and bring attention to it.
It's a brilliant idea. They need to act quick. Time is, they're like my friend. I called him on the phone, talked to him, and he's like, well, what do you do? I'm busy farming. I'm farming nonstop.
That's what they want.
Right. It's harvest time for them. So they're working, if you know a farmer.
Yeah.
I mean, farmers work.
They're the best. They are the best. They are my favorite patients to have.
They're unbelievable. Yeah. And right now they are working. And another one, he hooked me up with another one of his farmer friends, and I talked to him, and he was a little more educated on some of the water particulars. And I didn't directly say, but I kind of indirectly asked, well, what, don't you think it seems very coordinated, this attack on you? And he told me, he says, I don't think, and this is how farmers' mentality, I don't think this is a conspiracy against farmers. I just think it's corporations looking out for their interests. And I'm just like, you got to be kidding me. Well, and so I asked him. So I asked him.
That in and of itself is a conspiracy.
Thank you. So I asked him. So I didn't want to, directly. So I asked him, what if corporate interests include your land? Mm-hmm. And the phone's quiet.
Yeah. Because ultimately that's what they're after.
Oh, right. Because the land's worthless.
Just as BlackRock cornered the market on residential housing in certain areas around the country, and you hear about Bill Gates, that scum, buying all this agricultural land. This is BlackRock's move. This is BlackRock's move.
Well, it's definitely BlackRock lawyers. I mean, we only have to speculate. No. The same lawyers who are representing Idaho Power are representing IDWR. Why does IDWR, they're a government institution, why do they have lawyers? Uh-huh. Why do they have outside lawyers? Uh-huh. Why do they have outside lawyers?
They're a state agency. They should have state agency lawyers if they need them. Right. But why do they need lawyers?
Why? If supposedly this is, and why did they change their mind on the restrictions? Why did they? It's just this is my point to people who are listening, and this is what I'm trying to get across to everybody. Everything that you value, spiritually, physically, family, is under attack by the New World Order.
That's right.
This in Idaho. Why is this the biggest story in the country? I can't think of a bigger story. And you think, oh, well, it's just, no. This is how the New World Order takes over.
Yeah.
This is how it's done. Some unelected bureaucrat, a PR machine, The news only trickles out. Do you get the issue? It's a 3-card Monty the shuffle where the over here they think the question is over here. No, the question is not over here. The question is, do you want potatoes in the store? Mm-hmm. If the answer is yes, you better come up with a different solution.
And all the derivative products out of potatoes.
Oh my God, French fries. You want French fries at Five Guys?
Well,
McDonald's? Where do you think they come from, ladies and gentlemen?
That's right.
Where do you this is so big, Dave.
No, it's enormous. And it's not an accident, and it's not a coincidence, and it's not from incompetence. It is planned, and it is willful. And when they look at these Department of Agriculture numbers, 14.9%, what did I say? 14.9% of household, or no, 18% of households with children, right? 18% of households with children are food insecure. You and I hear that. Our listeners hear that. Oh my gosh, that's awful. 18%. It should be 0%. The globalist scum look at that and go, only 18%?
Yeah, it's low.
Man, we're not doing a very good job. That should be like 88%. What do we do? And then they call in their buddies that they own and control, either by bribery or because of their past history that's used against them to blackmail them. And those people then can say, oh, it's a legal issue. It's between the farmers and this agency, so I'm stepping back from this. Yeah, no. He stepped right in it. Which brings us to, this is not an isolated issue. This is happening, as you mentioned, in Europe. The reason Ukraine, the breadbasket of the world or of the East, is no longer that. It is a big minefield, right? Or bombed out structures. It's no longer the breadbasket. That's not an accident. It's not a coincidence, and it's not from incompetence. It's all willful. Which brings me to something Mike Schneider said, which actually is, again, right in your wheelhouse, Dan. Because my concern, Dan, is that they're going to try to make food insecurity an issue for every American family. Not 18%, not 80%, but 100%. And the only way, and again, as you mentioned, they're attacking water. So, one of the big problems is, well, yeah, there's plenty of water, but, we don't have the means of filtration for it. So, sorry, you can knock a beach ball around on the beach at Lake Michigan or whatever, or Lake Erie or whatever it might be. But, we just don't have we've got problems, and, we just can't. Well, this is where the filtration issues come in. And this is where the storable food comes in. Because if people are prepared and have storable food and a means of filtering water, every person becomes less vulnerable, not immune, but less vulnerable.
Resilient.
Yes, to the operations of the syndicate. Mm-hmm. So Mike Schneider said the following recently. You should be preparing like crazy right now. A lot of people seem to think that the summer and fall of 2024 is a time to party. But the truth is that this is a time when people should be feverishly preparing for the extremely chaotic times that are ahead of us. I just don't know what it's going to take for people to wake up and realize how late it is. Trump got shot, and that shook people up for a few days, but it didn't last for long. Then there was a soft coup in the Democratic Party, and that got people fired up for a little bit, but that quickly faded out. Of course, there's a small minority that is awake and that understands that we are living in truly historic times, but the vast majority of the population appears to be clueless. And that's exactly what the globalist syndicate wants. So, Dan, you are a visionary, as I mentioned in your introduction. I want you to take people through what they need to be doing on the prep side of the equation, from a food standpoint and from a water standpoint, because they're not going to get this through any other source, because every other source is compromised. Dan, this is why, and I'm not going to get specific. This is why you and your company have been targeted. Because you put people at the top end of the operation at Numanna. People. Their safety and security. So what do they need to do? What do they need to do, Dan?
Hey, I'm gonna lay this out for you. It's gonna be a shame if the people listening don't take.
Are you there, Dan?
You there, Dave?
Oh, yep. We had a little bit of a phase out. So you said I want people to take this seriously, and then there was a bit of a phase out. I think our friends were trying to just block things. So go ahead. You're there. Oh, now I can't hear you.
Yeah.
Now you're there.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, perfect. Go ahead.
That's crazy.
Well, you know what? It's just more of the same. This is more of the same. This is what they do. Go ahead.
It's gonna be a shame if people don't take heed to what I'm about to say, and it's why Dave risks a lot to do a show. Why I'm risking to tell you what I've told you. The first thing I would do to anybody who's listening, I want you to imagine what it would be like if you could not go to a store for, say, 2 weeks. Start with 2 weeks if you're starting from zero. Just imagine. What would it be like if you could not go to a store, you could not get any food from the store for 2 weeks? Look at your house, what you need. Look at what it takes to sustain, not only sustain, but to thrive during that time, and start there. Obviously, our company is a storable food company. We make I think the best. I mean, this is an organic family pack. You can see the bucket. We got organic options, all kind of options, and water filters. What you're going to need is you're going to need food. You're going to need some sort of snacks for people. You need to sustain, and you need water filtration. If you're living in a place, especially like Flint, Michigan, you already need water filtration.
Right.
Our water filter and the infrastructure is failing, ladies and gentlemen. The infrastructures across the country is getting old, and infrastructure, water municipalities is failing, just so you know. So I've been in this a long time. 13 years we've been doing this. You have to have water filtration. If for an emergency, if I'm living in any kind of city, I am filtering my water now. And I don't want to go into that. That's a whole nother story. You've heard of the Berkey type filters, the same. We have Duraflow filters on our website. I've done this 13 years. They are the best gravity fed filters I've ever seen. They take out fluoride, arsenic, the whole 9 yards. They take it out, and they have really high flow rates, work excellently. How are you going to get water for 2 weeks? How are you going to get food? And once you go 2 weeks, now you multiply that, you double it to a month. Then you double it to at least bare minimum 3 months. What is my plan? If there's one, and there's two ways you cannot have food, ladies and gentlemen. You don't think about this. One, there's no food at the store. Two, food is so highly priced that you can't afford it. There's two ways you cannot have food. And we've seen that with COVID. It's not so far out of the realm of possibility. We've seen the shortages. I'm telling you, the farmers are getting squeezed. This is very key. The farmers are getting squeezed on price, my friend. The price is going down. Why is the farmers are getting paid less and less and less on the wholesale grain? Why, when everything else, the prices are exploding? How is this possible? How is this possible? Because they're being attacked, ladies and gentlemen. The independence and the ability to produce. If they can't produce, who's going to grow the food?
And when you have the financial powers that be manipulating the commodities markets with paper contracts to drive the prices down to pinch the farmers on that side, while their supply costs, as you mentioned, fertilizer, gasoline, you name it, labor is up through the roof. Go ahead, Dan. I'm sorry.
We have different, I know that the type of food we sell is key to your preparedness plan. You have to have a variety of things. When you go to the store, okay, instead you usually buy 2 cans of tuna fish. I'm just giving an example. Now buy 4. You usually buy one bag of rice, buy two. So you start there. The long-term food stores, like in the buckets, the family packs, organic family packs, that gives you flexibility. It freezes your food price today, and you can mix it with other things, and it gives you a peace of mind and security. Now you have security. So you buy car insurance. If you drive safely for that year, you might as well took the money and flushed it down the toilet. You buy house insurance. Same thing. Your house is safe. Everything's good. Well, the money you spend on house insurance, you might as well take it and burn it. This is a no-lose investment where this food is good quality. It's organic options. It's the other different options that we have. We have powdered milk. I used to hate powdered milk growing up as a child. I said, we're not selling powdered milk unless it tastes good. We found some unbelievable powdered milk. It's good enough. I promise you, we have organic options and hormone-free. You make that organic milk, put it in your fridge, and chances are pretty good it tastes better than the milk you're drinking now. That's how good it is. We introduced freeze-dried vegetables, freeze-dried fruit this year. We have all different options. These are things you need to invest in. But Dave has been we've been a long time partnership with Dave. We love Dave Janda. We love his audience. You use the code Janda at checkout, Janda, Janda, and you're going to get 20% off all food orders. Some of the filters and stuff, we don't make them, so I can't discount. 20% off all the food orders with the code Janda. This is your opportunity to stock up. This is an opportunity for you to help patch some of those inadequacies or vulnerabilities that you have in your family.
Well, Dan, and for our listeners, just so they're aware, some know this, most don't. A number of storable food companies have approached me over the years about them becoming sponsors. And I have turned all of them away, with the exception of Numanna. And here's why. My background in medicine is in prevention. And when I look at storable food products, they are not all the same. My goal is to have somebody on this platform, Dan Brigman and Numanna, that provides quality products that are nutritious. We have an entire website, operationfreedomhealth.com, focusing on the nutritional side of the equation. All the series of videos I do with every other week and have for 6-7 years with Dr. Peter Glidden, one of the top naturopathic physicians in the country, if not world. Dan's products are the only ones that hold up. They're the only ones that hold up on a nutritional standpoint. Because many of these storable food products, when they say we're providing X number of meals, and a bunch of them are cereals and sugar drinks and a bunch of stuff that, no, that's not nutritious. And Dan's very humble about this, and modest about it. But Dan, briefly take our listeners through the fact of the type of buckets you have, food buckets, and because the meals are not just nutritious, they actually, and it's surprising for storable food, they actually taste good.
There's a website that we put out, or that one of our affiliates put out, says, "Can your food storage do this?" It's a story of a UPS driver that came to us a few years ago. He wanted basically what you're saying. There's so many food storage companies. Are they all the same? What? I'm going to test out Numanna. It seems like it's different. I'm going to test it out. His test was, for 30 days, I'm going to eat nothing but Numanna. This is so key. I can't even tell you how important this is. We had a thing called the Defender Pack. And in the Defender Pack, we have superfoods mixed with this, with meals like you're ready, like pasta primavera. For the American diet, it's super good. It's something you'll like, your children will like, the macaroni and cheese with superfoods. It's amazing. He ate nothing but the Defender Pack for a month. Now, he's a delivery truck driver. And if you know them, you farmers work hard. Well, delivery truck drivers work hard too. Work very hard. At the end of it, we talked to him. You can see the video on that website. Can your food storage do this?
.com.
.com, yes. He had more energy. He quit taking energy drinks. He used to have 2 or 3 energy drinks to get him through the day because he didn't have the energy. He had more energy than usual. He felt great. He was able to make the meals at lunch in his back of his truck, and he said it was amazing. It was unbelievable. he also said, you'll see in the video if you go to that, he said that he says, I saw that other people had done tests like this with other companies and they got in trouble health-wise. They actually got sick and they had problems. Mm-hmm. He says, if I would have known that, I might not have done this. but with Numanna, I said, look, there's superfoods in it. This is gonna sustain you. This is what we designed it. This is why we were the first company. We invented the organic family pack. Mm-hmm. We invented this.
And by the way, and tell me on this, Dan, it's certified, correct? You went through the strictest. You went through the strictest certification procedure that's available.
CCOF. It's one of the, if it's not the top, it's second to none. Let's put it that way. Of certification, it is extremely hard to get.
Yeah.
And when I wanted to do an organic family pack, there's a lot to it. I don't want to bore you with the details, but I'm going and I'm looking at formulators, and I'm looking at the supply chain. Their response to me was to laugh. Why would you do that? Well, because I want to. I want there to be organic family pack. Mm-hmm. I want that level of quality. We were the first ones to do it. We cut basically a machete through the forest of the food storage industry, and that gives you an idea. So we have organic family pack. We have also, if you need no gluten, we have no gluten family pack.
One of my family members has relied on that. Yep, on your gluten-free pack. Yeah.
So we have no gluten family pack, and in the pack. Let me so people can see. So each one of these buckets is gonna see. So here's organic mac and cheese. Organic mac and cheese. You see it. And it's in this 5 ml over-engineered bag, resealable, so you don't have to use all the servings. It's easy to seal.
Yeah, and that's very important, by the way. A lot of people don't realize that because they buy something somewhere and they go, oh, how do it's going to go bad. This is terrible packaging. Yours is cream of the crop.
Oh, the 5 ml, and people have come to us, why don't you use cheaper packaging? Well, there's a reason. I'll tell you, when we first started doing this, we had 7 or 8 different companies in our pantry from other companies.
Yeah.
And including ours. And a mouse got in our house.
Yeah.
Mouse got in our pantry, ate the bags of every single one of those companies except ours.
5 millimeters.
And it's not, a mouse could get through. There's no question a mouse could get through this. Yeah. It puzzled me. Why in the world did they not eat ours and they ate all theirs? So I talked to my food guy, whatever. He said, oh, that makes sense. The mouse could smell the food in the other packages. He couldn't smell
it from yours. Yeah.
He couldn't smell it because your package is good.
Yep.
Too good. And that's one of the killers of longevity of food storage is air, oxygen, and temperature fluctuations. Don't store it in the garage. Temperature fluctuations.
Right. So for example, a cooler environment like a basement, for example.
Perfect.
Right.
Just stable.
Now, Dan, how long that pack you have there, that bucket? How long is that good for?
25 years. It's going to store for. Yeah. Now, some of the there's powdered milk in here. Dehydrated powdered milk doesn't last 25 years, but like a meal like that would.
How long does powdered milk dehydrated?
Obviously, now you're getting to where you're going to store it stable. You're probably 15 years, 15 years, probably maybe up to 20. Yeah. It probably won't store 20. That'd be if it.
And here's the other thing, Dan. This is having this around, and we've heard this from many hundreds of our listeners over the years. They also come into play. The filtration systems for water, the storable food products, tornadoes, hurricanes, mudslides, fires. There were some listeners of ours in Venezuela and Argentina who years ago had ordered some things through you and had their family get it here in the United States and sent it to them as well. And they said if it wasn't for that, in addition to having actually physical silver, they told me, that their lives would have been over.
That means a lot.
So it's not just
it means a lot.
The globalist scum targeting a system to come down, which they have done and they are in the process of doing, but it's also for these natural disasters.
Absolutely. Especially water. Water is key. That you need water more prevalently and quicker than you're going to need food.
Yeah.
Water is key. And I would be looking into filtering your water now.
Yeah, I agree.
Right now.
I
It's
agree.
very easy. If you, I mean, I couldn't turn my camera. We got one of these Berkey type setups.
Yeah.
It's got our filters in it, and the water, you just put the water on top, it drains in. Then it's easy. Then it's like a little water cooler, and the water, all the chemicals are taken out of it.
Yeah.
God only knows what's in these. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, the infrastructure, our food production, our water purification, our water delivery. I mean, you're hearing about these farmers. Our infrastructure in this country is not as safe or as developed or whatever or resilient as you think it is.
That's correct.
I promise you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't take action to prevent that, are you relying on politicians? Are you relying on Kamala Harris? Are you relying on these Democratic-run cities? I mean, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't risk my life because you're risking your life. So why wouldn't you take action? We're here to help you. If you got a situation where you need to ask me advice or whatever, I mean, get a hold of me or through Dave, send an email through Dave, or just send an email through our website, and we'll answer. We'll help you. And if for some reason you're like, hey, I'm trying to do this, I need help with it, just ask us. We're here to help. And
I was talking to somebody in a local parent-teacher association the other day, and they said, you know how you do these fundraisers? Yeah. I go, so you do this like with these pizza kits. Why don't you do it with storable food? What? Why don't you run these fundraisers for? Well, I never thought of that. I go, right. I go, because then you're teaching the kids something as well. And it's a heck of a lot more nutritious. I go, and I mentioned Numanna. If you go through them with their products, it's a heck of a lot more and it sends a message to the kids about planning ahead. And don't be fearful, but take steps so that just in case something goes haywire, things are okay.
Chances are very good if you like this organic family pack here. If you were eating this or the Defender pack, like the UPS driver was his name was Carl, was eating, chances are you're getting better nutrition from this than you're eating right now in your American diet.
That's right.
I mean, I don't know everybody's diet, but chances are the average diet that I've seen.
So, Dan, educate our listeners in how folks can get more information about your products, including your book, Forever 1776. So, books, storable food, water filters, and your websites and your contact information.
Numanna.com, Numanna.com, Numanna.com. Just like it's the new manna for today to help us. That website, we have all the information on all the products. You can get a hold of us, what have you. I know as soon as you release this interview, I'm going to get, I actually got, I think it was the last interview I did with you on the radio. Somebody sent us an email and he worked for Monsanto. It was railing on me about, so you talk about a New World Order company, but I know I'm going to get attacked again. Because of at least by emails. So, but it's in God's hands, the whole situation. You can go to Numanna.com, 888-597-0775, 888-597-0775. And we're here to help as long as we can be here. And it's always great being with you, Dave, and partnering with all your great platforms, and so valuable. The truth has never been more important.
I was unaware that somebody from Monsanto got in touch with you, but Monsanto, weren't they integral in the development of glyphosates and the like that are been found to adversely affect the health and wellness of people?
Yeah, they were the ones.
Yeah, it's interesting that person didn't get in touch with me, because if they would have, it would have been, I think, a very different experience than dealing with you.
Maybe.
You're a very
Maybe.
kind man, and when I deal with globalist scum that put people's lives in jeopardy, I take no prisoners. So it was probably the wisest decision he made was to contact you, not to give you grief though. I should have actually thanked you for rectifying the problems that his company helped create. But contacting me would have been a far different result. Numanna, Numanna.com. And Dan mentioned that other website, canyourfoodstoragedotthis.com.
Yes.
I encourage you to go there. You know, Dan, every video I do, I make a habit, whether it's in the middle or at the end or throughout, as we did today, to not only point out what the problems are that we're facing, but what people can do to address the problems and make life better for themselves and those around them. And part of that is to take this information, including this video, and network it to all those they know and love. Because I can assure you 99.9% of our viewers, that they send it to their family and friends and coworkers and neighbors, they will have known nothing about what we just spoke about today prior to them viewing it. But it's also about action-based. And many people get upset with me in our videos because I say, folks, this is what you need to do. These are some action steps. Unfortunately, there are too many people that just want to sit on the couch and not do anything. Well, this is not one of those times. This is not only about networking a video, which is mandatory, this bucket brigade of truth, but it's also about going out there and protecting yourself. Getting the water filters, getting the storable food, and having it for yourself and your families. This is the key. And a statement we make still at our Institute for Preventative Sports Medicine, when it comes to prevention, caring is the first step. But for it to be more than empty rhetoric, action must follow. The action, folks, is now up to you. You need to do what you need to do to protect yourself and to protect your family and to help your friends and neighbors and coworkers protect themselves, because the government's not going to tell them this. They're going to be too busy dealing with their buddies in BlackRock, trying to find a way how to deplete water and how to deplete food from getting to your table. I thank you, Dan, for your perseverance, dedication, and sacrifice. Numanna.com. You need to go there. Not later, but now. Until next time, Dave Janda signing off. Dream big and dare to fail. Thanks for your time today.